Here's one of them here, and these things here supplied all the bush string for Aboriginal people for thousands and thousands of years. Well, they used other things as well, but up in this part of the world, this was one of the main suppliers of bush string. I'll just cut it down and give you a look how the whole thing works. Just strip away the outer bark here, like this. Runs right the way down there. And what you're after is the inner bark, this pink stuff in here. And it's dried out and platted up. It's extremely strong stuff. Right, we now shred that away a bit, like that. Let it dry in the air for a little bit. Next comes the painful part. It was painful for me because I got hairy legs. Aboriginal women didn't have much trouble with it. Because of that, they could do double twists and all sorts of things. I can only do the one twist. It hurts too much to do double twist. Just twine it round like that, round and round. That's it. Look at that. That's just as tough as a green string I got back in the camp there. Now, it's taken me years and years to build up all my information on bush tucker, but it all started with this tree here, and that was when I was a kid. Way back in Cairns, I might have been, I don't know, 7 or 8 or something. My old fellow down the road showed me this tree and he said it was a fish poison. You could mash it up, put it in the water and it'd kill the fish. But he also told me something else you could use it for. The trick with this tree is to crush the leaves up in the water, and that way the sap is released. Called a soap tree, and wonder why. It does that because it contains saponin, which is basically a rough sort of bush soap that you do the washing up too. Very, very effective and very, very common up here in the top end. Get a few rough spots in the pan here, you can always get one of these to scour it away. That's the sandpaper fig. Tell you what about this stuff, it even works in cold water. These mosquitoes are a bit crook. Might have to do something about that tomorrow. Just have a look at this. I reckon that's terrific. I do it every time I come up here. The water sort of races across the surface of the leaf just like a meniscus. It's obviously got to be a waterproof leaf because it's a water plant. A lot of people think that these things here, and they go for miles and miles all the way right around the river systems and the wetlands, are water lilies, but they're not really. They're a thing called a lotus lily. Proper name's, I think, Nalumbo or something like that. But it produces this flower over here, which is absolutely beautiful. Just have a look at that. And you see that yellow centre in there? That really is the sort of reproductive centre of the whole plant. Because in there, we've got the seeds, and they sort of get bigger and bigger and bigger, and eventually the leaves will fall away, and that seed pod will come up and up and up, and the seeds get so heavy that it then tips upside down. And once it's done that, one by one, the seeds plop into the water. End up looking like this one over here. If you look at this old pod here, you can see already that the seeds have already fallen into the water. There's probably half a dozen of them left there, but that's all. Just break it off and bring it in. There we go. So those ones there, and they're actually bush tucker. Get some out and give you a bit of a look. There it is. You've got to use a pair of pliers or maybe a lump of rock or something, because they've got a very hard casing on them. That's the part you eat there, that white part in the centre. It sort of tastes a bit like dry wheat or something like that. They're pretty good, actually. In fact, the water buffalo reckon they're tremendous, and a few years ago, all this lotus lily country was given a real hard time by water buffalo, but not so much today because there aren't too many water buffalo left around the place, which is probably just as well. Originally, buffaloes were introduced here by the British. In days gone by, there were hundreds of thousands of them running wild throughout the top end. Nowadays, most of them have been culled, but you can still find the odd mob running around the place. You see this buffalo dung here? Well, the theory is you put it on the fire, and because it burns with a lot of smoke, it helps to keep the mosquitoes away. I think it probably does a bit. Might be a bit psychological too, but that doesn't matter. Good enough for me. Great job though, isn't it? Picking up meadow cakes. Tell you what, they always give them a kick first. That way you find out whether they're cooked enough. Out around this wetland country, it's easy to think that the permanent water is everywhere. But the wet season finished months ago, and you don't have to go far from the river to find the dry season is well underway. Well, I guess that's what you can expect if you insist on driving down old fence lines. That track that I've been coming down, that's not a track at all. It's just an old fence line, and I suppose this happens to me about once a year. It's a bit of a nuisance, but anyway. That's it. Oh. Keep that, might be able to use that later on. One of the things I enjoy about living in the bush is improvising with what I can find. This is not firewood I'm chopping. I've got another use for this fork as soon as I get back to camp. This is probably one of the simplest bits of bush furniture you can get. All you need is a lump of A-framed log like I've got here, bit of fencing wire, and a potato sack. Bind it up at the back there like that. Yeah, that'll fit good there. Get it down there. Just run a pole through the bottom here. Across there. There we go. And you know what? It's really comfortable. I guess you'd call it the original squatter's chair. There's a whole bunch of variations like this, but they're so simple and easy to knock up just to make your camp a bit more comfortable. They're terrific. I suppose some people feel that to go out and really enjoy the bush, they've got to have a big swag of U-boot gear. Well, that's not really the case at all. Personally, I work off the principle of KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. It seems to do pretty well. Once I get myself out there, I put my effort into getting comfortable and set up, and that way I can really enjoy the bush. What I'm making here, I've just finished it, just about, is a flip toaster. I made it out of that wire that I pulled out underneath the car along the fence line the other day. Might have an early night tonight. Got a big day coming up tomorrow.